This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
I had the best words.
Tolerated.
I know words.
Mike Pounds.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid.
Anonymous, really anonymous.
I'm very highly educated.
One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
I had the best words.
God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
We'll do it live!
I'm the nation. Waldorf Nation. Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to the stream. I've got a good show for y'all today. Again, leaving my lower thirds up. That's fantastic. Great start for the day. But also a great start. Hey, TYT, thank you for the raid. Appreciate that. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Brooke Marks and the rest. Everybody coming in here from TYT. Hey, Metal Kitty Mom, thank you for resubbing for a month of Tier 1. Appreciate that. So already, hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. We've got a lot of fantastic stories for y'all today. So you tuned in. You tuned in a really good day. So we're going to have some fun. We have Donald Trump, of course. Please clap. Lots of fun. We have Don Jr., we got Tucker Carlson wanting to clap to M&Ms. That's great. We got Newt Gingrich. We're going to turn a little bit more serious, of course. We're going to go after the Biden administration as well and some pretty bad appointments. Or I'm sorry, not appointments, but nominations. And then are Michigan schools putting cat boxes in the bathroom? Some people do. Some people think. Some people are saying that they're putting cat boxes in the bathrooms. Okay, but nothing to do with Donald Trump on that one, but still the normal kind of insanity that you would get from right-wingers. So, Tucker Carlson can't perform if the candy ain't sexy. Oh, Jesus Christ, you guys. That's awesome. Did I see the response to Tucker about the green M&M? I did not. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So if you haven't already, please like and share the stream. And let's get to it. Let's have some fun. I know somebody's happy about this. All right.
In 2000.
That was former President Donald Trump trying to get some applause from the crowd. And this happened at Mar-a-Lago. And, you know, it kind of evokes something that we might have seen before. Like, I don't know, Jeb Bush, who was certainly happy about this. So now, to give you a little bit bigger of a picture here, Phil Rucker and Carol Leonnig in their book, I Alone Can Fix It, set up a scene as Trump holds court in the dining room at Mar-a-Lago. Apparently, it's not the first time this happened. And wrote this: when you're down there talking to him, there's a distorted reality. He's presenting not only to us, but the dozens of guests that come to Mar-a-Lago every night for dinner and give him a standing ovation at sunset. And then you leave Mar-a-Lago and you realize what's happening in the world. The reality is so different from what he's trying to tell his supporters. Lenny described after the book came out. So, I mean, that's what you saw there. He's like, come, please clap. Come on, please clap. I mean, to which I say, of course, low energy, sad baby. Somewhere out there, Jeb is laughing as he holds up a Donald Trump voodoo doll. Y'all know. Y'all know.
Please clap.
All right. So now what's funny is this is after Donald Trump had, look, Donald Trump donkey caught everybody in the primaries. We know that. Emasculated Chris Christie, Ted Cruz, and especially Jeb Bush. I know it was forever ago, but there's a list of insults that Trump had used against Jeb Bush, describing pretty much the very scene that we just saw. Let me show you some of that.
Total stiff, spoiled child, lightweight, puppet, clueless, sad sack, too soft, weak, sad, pathetic, embarrassment to his family, and not a man.
All of that seems to describe what we just saw from Donald Trump. Now, it appears that, as I said, Trump has low energy. Interesting. Now, look, the reality is, now that he's cut off from social media, from a lot of his followers, his most vocal supporters, which have always been a minority, really, and I don't mean those who voted Republican because they saw both Hillary Clinton and Biden as a lesser of two evils. Those Republicans do exist, and they live, of course, in a completely different reality, but they do exist. But no, in reality, the hardcore Trumpers, right? They're the small minority of people that, you know, are reflected in the recent sad rallies with Bill O'Reilly, the only ones that would actually show up and barely even filled the stands. But there's another group. There's another group. Now, as I said, the kind of people that clap for Trump, and they're the same people that Trump would never allow into Mar-a-Lago. They're poor people. Poor people, working people, the people that he has duped. Again, they'd clap. They would too. But he doesn't give a goddamn about them because guess what? They're not giving him money. They can't afford the membership at his clubs. And so of course this is going to happen because he doesn't give a damn about his real supporters. His most hardcore supporters wouldn't be able to step a foot near Mar-a-Lago. And by the way, in case you think, okay, maybe this is a one-off. No, this isn't the only time that this has happened. Some of the many other books that were published about Trump's post-presidency have told a similar story about how he continuously has to beg, just beg for a standing ovation. Please clap, as he walks into the dining room. How much more of a sad sack can you actually be? It's so good. It's the best. I have Schadenfreude. All right, so let's move on. Just some quick fun. You might be wondering how Donald Trump Jr. is doing since his father, I should say, lost the election in 2020. Oh, well, you know, from what I could tell, apparently Don Jr. might be actually doing pretty good for himself. No, I'm kidding. He's a complete mess.
Guys, Joe Biden is at it again. Reading the instructions from the teleprompter and not being able to decipher what's the quote and what's the message. He did it again earlier this week with United Stake of America. At least that's what it sounded like to me. He waved like a little child to Vladimir Putin in their meeting, virtual meeting, because, you know, can't put Joe Biden in the same room as someone. he might let one rip. Guys, Joe Biden is what stands between us and a nuclear-capable China. Joe Biden is the guy they're going to call at 3 in the morning if there's a serious crisis with Russia. The guy that can't tell when he's supposed to stop reading the instructions. He's like Ron Burgundy, but with the real role, right? You put it on the teleprompter, Joe will read it.
Okay. Wow. So again, this was, I can only assume a drunken or, you know, whatever cocaine-fueled rant about how, ironically, Biden is mentally unfit and old, according to them. Guy's loaded off his ass. And he's, Joe Biden is the same person that stands between us and a nuclear-capable China? I mean, that's my favorite part. But again, you notice the slurring, right? I don't know whether to laugh or to try to help arrange an intervention, which is most likely needed. But here's the thing, right? I don't know if he actually knows that China already has nuclear weapons or what. I don't know. But they've had them since the 1960s. They're already a nuclear-armed China. And so, again, I don't know if he knew that and said, you know, he's going to stand between us and China getting nuclear weapons or between us and the nuclear-armed China. I don't know. I can't tell because he's incoherent. I don't know. But I guess that's what happens when you are not only deeply unintelligent, but are consistently, as this guy is, apparently 2 sheets to the wind. And he wants to criticize Joe Biden on mental fitness. Now, look, Joe Biden's an old man. We know that. He ain't as sharp as he used to be, of course. Stumbles over his words. And look, part of that's probably just part of the stutter that he's had for a long time. And the other part, of course, happens when you get older. And look, we've seen it before. Sometimes Biden in his speeches is on point. He's coherent. He's strong. He's got energy. And other times, he's a doddering old man that falls asleep during a meeting. I don't know. But here, Donald Trump, and again, this is really the difference here. Biden's on it sometimes, he's off of it sometimes. Donald Trump, never on it. Never on it. Always a complete and utter disaster. In fact, here's an example.
The latest act of resistance is the op-ed published in the failing New York Times by an anonymous, gutless coward. The wall, the barrier, whatever you want to call it, it's okay with me. They can name it whatever they can name it, peaches. A few weeks ago, on January 23rd, Venezuela's National Assembly, they are risking their future. They are risking their lives and Venezuela's future. You've really put a big investment in our country. We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings. In June of 1775, the Continental Congress created a unified army out of the revolutionary forces encamped around Boston and New York, and named after the great George Washington, Commander-in-Chief. Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Rest my case. Very stable genius. Let's just leave it at that. All right. Moving on. Let's go to Tucker Carlson. Apparently he's very mad about candy. All right, so let's do it. On Friday, Tucker Carlson took a shot at M&M's. No, not M&M the rapper, but the actual chocolate candy, or chocolate with the candy shell, I should say. Now, the company behind M&M's, Mars, decided to make a few changes to the brand, to the characters, and of course, Tucker Carlson, who has the highest rated cable news show on or in the United States, did a segment about it.
The other big change is that the brown M&M has, quote, transitioned from high stilettos to lower block heels. Also less sexy. That's progress. M&Ms will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing and totally androgynous. Until the moment you wouldn't want to have a drink with any one of them. That's the goal. When you're totally turned off, we've achieved equity. They've won. And actually, if you look at him, the orange M&M does appear very anxious. Maybe he doesn't like all the ugly new shoes he sees around him. Maybe he liked the sexy boots. Maybe the orange M&M is a secret sexist himself.
He does know that he's talking about candy, right? Candy. I mean, like, okay, like, insanity aside, why is he even talking about this? Why are we having a conversation about how sexy our candy is? Why? Does anybody else find this super bizarre? What? Nobody actually cared about this. Nobody actually cared about this. But here it is. It's part of the culture wars. And since it's part of the culture wars, here we are. I got to talk about it. So now here's the thing, though. So Tucker Carlson has taken this non-issue and turned it into an issue. And now his audience is mad that they cannot fap to candy characters because they're not sexy enough. No, I don't want to have a drink with candy mascots. I never wanted to drink with candy mascots. And no, I don't want them to be sexy. I don't want sexy candy. Who wants sexy candy? So why bring it up? You might ask me why I'm even covering this. Well, because here's the thing. Again, culture war issue, right? And number two, he avoids real criticism of corporations. And this is something that Tucker Carlson always does. So Tucker Carlson will take some nonsense issue about corporate America and say, oh, this is a problem. This is a problem with corporations. No, it's actually not. Corporations going woke is not an issue. It's not a real concern. Because corporations understand that, yes, this is about imaging, this is about PR, but ultimately it comes down to sales, right? And when you have this good PR, what they're trying to do, what Mars trying to do, is they're changing their candies up. Nobody asked for it, for one. Nobody really cared. Nobody cared about the candy. Nobody made an outrage about this. It's the same thing with, what was formerly, Aunt Jemima, which is now like Pearl Milling or something like that. Nobody had an issue with this. This was not on mainstream, leftists weren't lining up to say, how dare you have this sexy candy? Let's turn it all into non-sexy candy. Because that's equality. No, it's not what we're doing. The reality here is that what Mars is trying to do is trying to deflect. What did Mars do? Well, Mars is in trouble for child slavery. They're facing a lawsuit. And so, look, again, this is not trying to appeal to the so-called woke crowd. They're trying to ignore the fact, or to get people to forget the fact that they are being sued for working children. Okay? In fact, Nestle, Cargill, Berry, Callebaut, Mars, Olam, Hershey, and Mondelez were all named as defendants in a 2021 lawsuit filed in Washington, D.C. by the human rights firm International Rights Advocates on behalf of 8 former child slaves who said that they were forced to work without pay on cocoa plantations in the Ivory Coast. The plaintiffs, all who were originally from Mali, are now young adults, are seeking damages for forced labor and further compensation for unjust enrichment, negligent supervision, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Now, did Tucker Carlson, did he have a problem with that? Did he attack corporations for using alleged child labor? And again, the Ivory Coast makes about 40% of the world's chocolate. And so, you know, their cocoa production. And so that's a real issue. That's a significant issue. There's stories of corporate exploitation going on right now. And the highest rated television show in the country didn't even take that corporation to task for child slavery. I thought they cared about the children. I thought they were all about protecting the children from exploitation. QAnon, where are you? Yeah, I know it's not sex trafficking, but I know why. I know why they're not talking about it. Because these are black kids. And because it's corporations. Exploiting these children for money, totally A-okay. But how dare you? How dare you make my M&M less sexy? Damn it. How am I going to get off now? I just can't. I can't. I don't know, maybe do it like a normal person and stop looking for brands and candy to be sexy. And by the way, you know what's actually really sexy? Not exploiting your workers. Why don't they try to do that? SBloom85 says, if the kids aren't white, it's all right. You pretty much nailed it, Scott. You nailed it right there. All right. This pisses me off. It should. It should. Absolutely. It absolutely should. Yeah, not a lot of people covered that story as well. You're certainly not going to see a lot of it on corporate media, or at least not on cable news, I should say. But again, if Tucker Carlson really wanted to hit the corporations, there's plenty of stuff to hit him for. You know, to prove that he's on the side of the working class. But really, he's not. He's never been on the side of the working class. He's always been on the side of the corporate elite. And he's just distracting everybody with culture war nonsense. All right, let's go to Newt Gingrich. Speaking of nonsense. Former Republican Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, is threatening retaliation against Democrats who are investigating the January 6th Capitol riots.
You're going to have a Republican majority in the House and a Republican majority in the Senate. And all these people who've been so tough and so mean and so nasty are going to be delivered subpoenas for every document, every conversation, every tweet, every email, because I think it's clear that these are people who are literally just running over the law, pursuing innocent people, causing them to spend thousands and thousands of dollars in legal fees for no justification. And it's basically a lynch mob. And unfortunately, the Attorney General of the United States has joined that lynch mob and is totally misusing the FBI. And I think when you have a Republican Congress, this is all going to come crashing down. And the wolves are going to find out that they're now sheep. And they're the ones who are, in fact, going to, I think, face a real risk of jail for the kind of laws they're breaking.
They're going to face jail for the laws that they're breaking. What laws? Now, this is in response, of course, to the committee recommending criminal charges for former White House advisor Steve Bannon and Mark Meadows, Trump's former chief of staff. Both refused to comply with subpoenas. So, again, it's just, hey, give us some documentation or come and talk to us. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. And so now, well, you can recommend criminal charges, up to a year in jail, even. So now, that's the thing. Since they did not comply, that's literally the only reason right now that they're in any ounce of trouble. So now my question, of course, is why not? Why not comply? I mean, isn't that what every Republican congressman and pundit who defends, for example, the police say, against like black people, isn't that what every pundit says on the right? Like, hey, I mean, that person, that black guy should have complied. But then we had to go and we had to use force. And, well, you know how it is. Well, it's funny how they changed their tune, right? I mean, just comply and you've got nothing to worry about. And you got nothing to worry about. What do you have to hide? Well, what do you have to hide? What does Steve Bannon have to hide? Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that they're doing. They think the Democrats aren't going to actually do anything. And so far, they haven't. So they kind of be right in that assumption. Democrats have been incredibly historically weak. They've never held any powerful person accountable for any of the things that they've done on January 6th. And so I'm not surprised that they would be like, oh, subpoena, who cares? You know, I'm gonna shred it. Yeah, oh, strongly worded letter. Yeah, it's gone. Okay. Now, Bannon and Meadows, again, they absolutely know that. And they know that in this case, just like in the case of impeachment, the two impeachment trials, that the party is going to back them up no matter what. And so if the Democrats actually do make them a martyr by sending them to jail, which is, I think, still very unlikely, then, well, that's going to really galvanize the party. Bannon's already been to jail. You remember, he's a criminal, literal criminal. Donald Trump pardoned him. Pardoned him. Because, again, Steve Bannon went to prison for stealing from his base and then bragging about it. Oh, yeah, look at me. You know, I bought a yacht and his cars and everything like that from these idiots that did the Go Fund the Wall project. Released. None of the January 6th writers. He didn't come to their aid. But when it came to Steve Bannon, oh yeah, oh no, you get a pardon, you get a pardon, you get a pardon. Every corrupt person that I can find, you get a pardon, all of you. And now here's Newt Gingrich, knowing this, basically telegraphing that, oh, if you actually do go after Bannon, well then, or anybody else involved with January 6th, well, or even if you don't, hell, we just might do it just to do it. Doesn't matter, because we're going to punish you anyway. We're just going to punish you anyway. We're going to come after you. We're going to lock you up. We're monsters, and we don't believe in justice, and we don't believe in the rule of law. And that's it. And we're going to do to you unjustly what we think you're trying to do to us. It's insanity. It's insanity what's going on. And again, nobody on the committee has done anything illegal. They've literally just been doing, you know, fact-finding, and they're requesting documentation, they're requesting evidence, and all of that. But again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. For them, if you at all, in any way, do not bow down to the Republicans, to Donald Trump, and if you don't let them steamroll all over you, walk all over you like you're a carpet, and let them break the law to literally try to steal an election, then guess what? When we get into power, we're just going to put you in prison. That's it. That's what we're going to do. It's fascist talk, 100%. And I know some people are like, but you don't understand. That's not going to happen here. That can't happen here. We're in America. We're in America. We're better than that. Around a third of Republicans say that violence might be necessary to save the republic. And that against the government, said violence could be justified. You want to look at the rhetoric? Look at the rhetoric. Of course, that's one thing, of course. But more importantly, look at the actions. We've got fake electors that we found in swing states that were part of this effort to try to steal the election, to send fake electors to Washington, to replace the ones that didn't vote for Donald Trump, the ones that they didn't like. Fake documentation. Just sending it in. We had Bannon trying to orchestrate the Green Bay sweep in order to reinstall Donald Trump into power, even though Donald Trump has been shown not to have won the election. He didn't get enough votes. And then, of course, you had violence on January 6th. January 6th, where you had, you know, again, the Capitol rioters that went in, they fought with police, broken into the Capitol, smeared shit everywhere, all that stuff. And then, of course, you have white nationalist militia groups. You have Proud Boys, Boogaloos. You got all those people that are waiting for the go-ahead because, you know, for violence. And then people are on the ground. You got regular people. And you've seen this. I've shown you videos of this before, where you had people that are brainwashed by propaganda, and they're asking, when do we get to use the guns? When do we get to start shooting people? That's what they ask. That's what they ask. That's what they're doing. And so this is just, I mean, it just shows you how the right has just descended into complete and utter madness. And what's worse is the Democrats' response to it. Their fecklessness and inability to actually stop serving their donors for 1 minute, and start serving the people. And as a result, Republicans, guess what? They're going to have a real good shot at taking back the House and the Senate. Wake up, Democrats. Things are not going to go well. You know, you might actually have to do something to protect democracy. I know you don't want to, but maybe you should. Maybe you should try to, you know, protect democracy instead of always trying to protect your corporate donors. So, all right. Let's go to Biden. Last week, President Joe Biden quietly made a couple of nominations to the Postal Service Board of Governors. Now, the post office, of course, has been suffering under Trump appointee and donor. He was a mega donor, Louis DeJoy, who had made some pretty big cuts to the service, which has caused slowdowns and delays and increased prices for mail and packages, and it even broken down machines, causing issues with workers not being able to do overtime, not being able to actually get packages out on time. And of course, there was a whole attempting to mess with the mail during the election to make it so that certain ballots would arrive late and possibly not be counted. And so now progressives thought, okay, look, we work for Biden. We got him elected. All right, Biden, get rid of DeJoy. Get rid of DeJoy. Now, look, Biden can't just fire DeJoy. He's not able to do that. He doesn't have the constitutional ability to do that. However, he can nominate postal board governors, Postal Service Board of Governors. He can nominate people to it, and they can get confirmed, and then they can vote to remove Louis DeJoy. Now, will that happen? It appears no, it will not. Save the post office. Oh, just kidding. Not going to happen. What do you think I was going to actually do the things that I campaigned on? I mean, it's not like I canceled student loan debt, right? or public option. Come on, Jack. Come on, Jack. You dog-faced pony soldiers. You expect me to actually do something? So now look, let me give you some more of the details, right? Last week, two gentlemen were nominated to serve on the USPS's Board of Governors. That's Dan Tangerlini, who's a Democrat, and Derek Can, who is a Republican. So now they've been appointed, and they're most likely to be confirmed. Now, does that mean, of course, that they're going to vote for DeJoy? How will I know? Well, as I just mentioned, Can's a Republican who worked in the Trump administration, and for Senator Mitch McConnell. Very unlikely that that guy is going to disapprove of the job that Louis DeJoy is doing in the post office. Again, they've cut services, cut funding, things like that. And raised prices and did all this stuff to try to make the post office, well, to try to privatize it, essentially. Now, two of other Biden's confirmed nominees have also shown absolutely no desire to do any change of leadership at the post office. Now, some of you are asking, why is Biden appointing Republicans? Well, now, by law, the board can have no more than 5 nominees from the same political party. Now, Joe Biden has so far, I believe, got 3 to 4 nominees. But apparently all of them agreed that nothing will fundamentally change. That's what Biden, of course, told his donors in private. And so, nothing will fundamentally change. Great. Let's continue to privatize the post office. So now earlier this month, there was also news that the board, or that I should say that Joe Biden declined to renominate Ron Bloom. Now, Ron Bloom, of course, was the former chairman of the USPS Board of Governors and a gigantic Trump ally. So now people celebrated and they're like, oh, okay, if we want to change the post office and save it, we got to get rid of Ron Bloom. So Joe Biden gets rid of Ron Bloom. And now, here's what happened. The board then unanimously elected Roman Martinez. Roman Martinez is a retired investment banker who is now chairman. Martinez, who was also nominated by then President Trump to the board, had praised Joe's tenure, saying that, quote, he is the person to carry out the restructuring that is needed. He is a transformational leader. So, that means, here we go. You might want to get used to Louis DeJoy and the continued privatization of the post office that will eventually come. Because as Joe told his donors, nothing will fundamentally change. And surprise, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. We have more terrible appointments, so let's get to that. All right. Another Biden appointment has gotten some criticism from progressives. Last week, President Biden quietly renominated a Trump-selected federal judge whose law firm represented the oil company Chevron. So now Chevron, you may have noticed this, Chevron had a years-long legal battle against human rights attorney Stephen Donziger. So Biden's renominations, according to Common Dreams, of Jennifer Reardon to the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York, announced on the White House website last Wednesday, went largely unnoticed by cable news. However, progressive watchdog groups, climate campaigners, and Donziger himself from house arrest saw the news and, of course, were outraged. Reardon, said Donziger, was paid millions at Gibson, Dunn, and Crutcher LLP to help jail me, attack indigenous peoples, and cover up a massive oil spill in the Amazon. Now, Donziger won a multi-billion-dollar settlement against the giant oil company over polluting the Ecuadorian rainforest. That guy's a literal hero. He took on the corporation in court and he won. He won. He made them pay up for their destruction of this indigenous land. But then, of course, in the United States, no good deed goes unpunished if you challenge a corporation because, well, here we go. We had Chevron using government power to basically imprison this again, hero. Now, Chevron never paid the settlement, the article continues, and responded by launching a massive and entirely unfunded and corrupt legal campaign against Donziger that resulted in him first going to prison and then being put on house arrest. So again, you take on an oil company on the side of the indigenous people and you end up getting crushed. I mean, even the chief witness, supposed witness for the Chevron case against Donziger, admitted that he was coerced and lied. And he actually even went to live in the United States as a result of the deal. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He admitted he lied. Doesn't matter. They still went after him anyway. So now, Trump had originally, he saw that and was like, yes, Reardon, that's our person. Yep, get her on the court. We're going to get her on the court so she can go after more environmentalists. Well, now, that was also, by the way, in support or with support from Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. So she's a Democrat from New York. Now, we originally thought that, okay, since the nomination expired at the end of that year, because the Senate didn't confirm her, because the Senators were basically old legislation, everything goes to die. Which I'm actually surprised in this case, because it's such a pro-oil company, nominee, that you would think that the Republicans are like, oh no, absolutely, yes, yeah, sure. But nonetheless, that's all right. Because now she's back. Joe Biden said, hey, let's bring her back. Let's actually try to get her nominated. Let's get her seated, benched. Now, in a statement announcing Biden's decision to re-up Reardon's nomination, the White House said that all of the president's judicial picks are extraordinarily qualified, experienced, and devoted to the rule of law and our Constitution. Now, that's what they're saying, but in reality, she's beholden to somebody else. As Sledge reported in her nomination questionnaire, Reardon explains that she has mainly represented corporations. Reardon's corporate clients have included Home Depot, Uber, Lehman Brothers, Barclays Capital, and Patriarch Partners. And by the way, she had also made political donations to the likes of Chris Christie and Rudy Giuliani. Reardon also has, again, as I mentioned, deep ties to Kirsten Gillibrand. So now this is according to reports by The Intercept's Andrew Fishman back in October of last year. He writes, Gillibrand played a crucial role in the nomination of Reardon, who fundraised at Gibson Dunn for the senators' campaigns to serve on the federal bench. In a sworn affidavit, Reardon stated that her years-long road to the nomination began when she expressed her interest to Gillibrand in one of the many talks about the issue with the senator and her staff. So Gillibrand, and look, here's the thing, Reardon has gotten a lot of pushback from Democrats, again, progressives, Bernie Sanders, etc., and the like. And yet, they've also, by the way, spoken out in favor of Donziger, free Donziger, right? But Gillibrand hasn't said anything about Donziger. I wonder why. Weird. Now, look, I don't think you need to be Scooby-Doo, right? You don't need to have the team to unwrap this mystery. No, it's about the money. You just follow the money. It's always been about the money. In fact, according to the report, the senator, Gillibrand, has received about $191,101 from Gibson Dunn's PAC, lawyers, and their spouses in direct contributions and through her office, the Off the Sidelines PAC, nearly half of which came from attorneys who worked to discredit Donziger on behalf of Chevron. Reardon also disclosed that she had co-hosted several fundraisers for Gillibrand at the Gibson Dunn offices, where her role included arranging for the use of Gibson Dunn space, inviting Gibson Dunn attorneys and sometimes others, and asking invitees to make a donation. Of course. Reardon also then made 11 donations, totaling $30,900 to Gillibrand and her Off the Sidelines PAC, according to the campaign finance watchdog Open Secrets. She had also contributed $10,500 to 6 candidates backed by Off the Sidelines and hosted a fundraiser for Senator Maggie Hassan, who was supported by that same political action committee. So, you know, what's funny is for some reason I keep getting Democratic funding fundraiser emails, right? And I believe I had shared one the other day, and it was something about like Rachel Maddow says this about me. Normally I like ignore everything that Rachel Maddow says at this point, and of course the Democratic fundraising emails. But like, I noticed this one because it was like, Maggie Hassan is the prototypical Senate moderate Democrat. And I see that and I'm like, and that's exactly why I would never give her a goddamn cent. Not one goddamn penny for a prototypical Senate Democrat. Okay? And so it just really, I mean, it just really shows me and proves like that they stand for, not only don't stand for anything, they won't even stand up, she won't stand up for Donziger, who again fought the oil companies and won to stop them from polluting indigenous land. I thought that's something that Democrats are supposed to care about. Well, you know, not if you get a lot of money from one of the lawyers who helped prosecute Donziger. Hey, it looks like we pulled the mask off this one, Scooby. Turns out it was the donors all along. And now Joe Biden, President Biden, wants to make her a judge. Look, what she helped to do to Stephen Donziger should be a crime. Using state power to imprison a man who fought and won against a corporation who was found guilty of polluting indigenous land. This is absolute corruption. And another example of, unfortunately, how the Democratic Party is also captured by corporate interests who are only interested in the perpetuation of the status quo. All right. So that's disastrous and makes me furious. And so we're going to lighten it up. Last story of the day, we're going to lighten up with Conspiracy Karen. This is fun. All right. Yes. All right. Right-wing conspiracy theorists are claiming that a Michigan school was providing litter boxes for students who identify as cats. I kid you not. This is something that a lot of people are saying. It's going around online. People are talking about it, and so that led to Lisa Hansen, a parent at this school, getting very upset over these claims. And she's going to let you know how she feels.
I want to talk about the fact that, and I know this is going on nationwide, so it is not just for this board, but our community needs to understand that the agenda that is being pushed through our schools is, just my opinion, but somewhat nefarious when it comes to some of the activities. So let's talk about furries. It was addressed by a child a couple months ago that they are put in an environment where there are kids that identify as a furry, a cat or a dog, whatever. And so yesterday I heard that at least one of our schools in our town has in one of the unisex bathrooms, a litter box for the kids that identify as cats. And I am really disturbed by that. And I will do some more investigation on that. I know it's going on nationwide. I know it is. It's part of the agenda that's being pushed. I don't even want to understand it. But I think that people need to be aware of it, because I am really upset as a parent that my child is put in an environment like that. And You know, I'm all for creativity and imagination, but when someone lives in a fantasy world and expects other people to go along with it, I have a problem with that. So I'm just putting that out there. I will investigate more.
I know this is going on, but I need to investigate more. But I heard this is going on all over the country and it's part of the agenda, but I also need to investigate a little bit more. But this is definitely happening. No, it's not. It's not. For one, no, schools, especially this school, but no school that I know of, first of all, has an agenda to put litter boxes in the bathroom, in the unisex bathrooms. That's not happening. That's fake, literal fake news. But again, this is, the whole thing is just absolutely insane. But okay, let me get to first the school's response to this. All right. So last Thursday, Midland Public Schools Superintendent Michael Sharrow had to address this. Imagine taking time out of your day to address this insanity. Saying this, "It is unconscionable that this afternoon I'm sending this communication." Lots of self-awareness there. "There's no truth whatever to this false statement / accusation. There have never been litter boxes within MPS schools. We knew the accusations of a litter box is outrageous, and we never heard such a thing before," he later on told BuzzFeed News. Well, I'm not surprised, because there's only a small section of the internet where you would hear something like this. And that's right-wing blogs. Right-wing blogs, some sort of weirdo, like, conservative forums, 4chan, 8chan, 8kun, all the, the gateway pundit, weirdo stuff from, like, the butthole of the internet. Yes, that's how I explain it, because it's really the best explanation of where it comes from. The butthole of the internet. And so that's where they're getting this. Online conspiracy theories. So okay. So now, interestingly enough, there's two components to this as well, right? About who they're going after. First is the furries, right? So they're going after the furries. The furries. I mean the furries. First of all, none of the furries are in the schools putting litter boxes anywhere. That's insanity. Look, furries are essentially harmless, right? Don't worry about the furries. Do your own thing. No judgment here, right? I don't care what you do. But nobody's pushing that on kids. They're not pushing that on kids. Total insanity, right? But there's another component to this as well. And maybe it's just me, but like, it seems like it's also a jab at transgender people. Now, how do I figure, right? Well, because it kind of sounded like what she was talking about is the one joke conservatives had. They identify as an attack helicopter. You've heard it all, the helicopter joke. And so now, these kids identify as cats, and so now they're trying to use a litter box, and the schools are accommodating them. And again, you can apply that like, these boys are identifying as girls, so now they're trying to use a girls' bathroom. Again, it's also transphobic in there. And so now they're taking the furries, and then they're taking transgender people, and they're just going after both of them. I mean, it's really, really sad. It's super disgusting as well how they're attacking, again, two very harmless communities. I mean, I don't have any problem with furries. Obviously, transgender people. I mean, again, human rights are human rights. Even if you identify as a cat, that's okay. Do you? But again, going back to this, the key phrase that makes you know without a shadow of a doubt where she gets her news. News. I hear it's going on nationwide. I'm going to do more investigation, guys. Well, again, where did you investigate this? No, you did the research like the same way that anti-vaxxers do their research, sitting on the toilet. That's what it is. I mean, and unfortunately, this has spread all across the right wing. I mean, look, Mashawn Maddock. I mentioned her Earlier, she was one of the people that actually had, I believe it was her husband, was a literal fake elector for Donald Trump in Michigan. So now, here's what she said. She's the co-chair of the Michigan Republican Party. She said, parent heroes will take back our schools after sharing this video and repeating the false information, again, which isn't true. This isn't real. This isn't real. This isn't happening. Again, fake news. But it doesn't matter to them, because here's the thing. When BuzzFeed reached out to her, right, and said, hey, this isn't real, by the way. Here's a bunch of different statements from the people at the school. Here's what she responded. Quote, just because the superintendent says it's false does not make it false. And then suggested talking with parents whose children have, quote unquote, said otherwise. Okay, now here's a follow-up, right? When asked if she could direct reporters to those people, those, parents, whatever, or the kids that had an account, right? So they could talk to them and say, okay, is this really happening? What's going on in the schools? Show me the litter box. Her response was silence. Nope. Did not respond. Fascinating. Look, again, here we have incredibly gullible, ridiculous, also angry people, right? And this is, again, spreading all through the right. There was hints of transphobia, of course, in there as well. And so, what this is about. This is about trying to attack the school boards. The right has been basically, at war with local school boards to try to intimidate people. You've got like Matt Walsh and other conservative influencers just taking their massive audiences and just directing them at these school boards and these school board members. And of course, what happens? They get inundated with threats, harassment, and then they quit. And guess what? They're replaced by insane people. And those are the people who will be running the schools. So that's a pretty dangerous component of it. And so it's not just the absurdity of the Catbox is in the schools for the furries. But again, that's just part of it. But the other part is far more actually insidious and is part of a conspiracy. How about that? All right. Octo Squiddy says her kid pees in the sandbox and now it's a globalist furry conspiracy. Well done. That is awesome. Best comment that I've seen today. That's fantastic. Thank you, Octo Squiddies, for that. I needed to laugh. All right. Anyway, show me the liddy. Oh. Tell me what school I believe. It's Midland Public Schools. I just told you the school. So Midland Public Schools in Michigan. All right. Anyway, they need a covered kitty litter box. Oh, okay. All right. Before I go, that's all the stories that I have. Don't worry. Stick around. We're going to raid into somebody. So TYT viewers are still here. But first, I'm going to read some super chats, and I want to thank some people for very, very kind donations as well. So let's pull that up real quick. Awkward. All right, so let's see. This is today. $2 says, thank you for your meaningful insight on political news, and not to mention the classic Trump intro. Brought it back. I had to bring it back by popular demand. LOL says, let he who hasn't lusted after anthropomorphized candy cast the first bonbon. Oh, that's awesome. Y'all are great. Dango Mangle says, Junior knows he's a fall guy his dad demanded. And then said that paramilitary groups will be a common sight across the United States thanks to neo-libs and Republicans working together to undermine democracy. And really, like, the neo-libs are just like, well, we got to crush the left. We got to fight the left. That's what we're doing. We got to stop the communisms. And then, of course, they end up getting the fascisms. So that sucks. Absurd TV, thank you for the very kind super chat as well. Gabby Mathis says, well, I'm sure we wanted Bernie, but our juice was only Biden to get 45 out. Yeah, unfortunately. Again, Dango Bano again. Help, the school turned my child into a trans femme cat boy. They got it from the vax and the 5G radio waves emitted from the litter boxes. Well done on that one. That's great. And then also notes that there may be, and again, I don't know this for certain because I'm not in that community, but apparently there are some in the furry community that are, unless I think with any community it's like a mixed bag, but some are apparently can be fascist or pro MAGA. Again, that itself, yes, that's concerning, but I don't think that it reflects really upon what that community is actually about. I mean, it just so happens, I think, that there are people in that community, or in any community, that have gone fash. So I wouldn't paint the whole community like that. It's like, oh, they're fascist or fascist-adjacent or whatever like that. I mean, again, I wouldn't go that far or do that. But hey, the demographics, I mean, I guess, I don't know. Kind of a bummer, but generally as a community itself, what they do, I don't really care. Okay. All right. Witness the power of the litter box. It's very weird, and a lot are also people who just entered the community after spending years on 4chan mauling the 2020 election results. It is kind of funny too. Like, I don't know. Not to go too far into it, because I think I'm like super getting into the weeds about this whole thing. Then maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, I you know what? I'll just leave that. I don't even want to touch it. I don't want to even get into like, fetish communities and groups. I'll just say this: if you're not hurting anybody as part of that group, then do whatever. I don't care. If you're not hurting anybody, or exploiting anybody, or, and it's all consensual. That's also really, really important. It's all consensual with consenting adults. Then I don't give a damn what you do. That's all. Okay. Anyway, that's all. That's all I'm gonna have on that one. So, Twitch community. Let's find a good place to raid, shall we? Or just find like a decent place to raid, I guess. Let's do a Pac-Man raid. Why not? To everybody else, thank you all. I appreciate it. Please like and share the stream. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Also, thank you, Octo Squiddies, for gifting a tier 1 sub. Thank you, Crazy Hawaiian and PA, for gifting 2 subs, tier 1. Really, really appreciate that. And thank you for all the new follows on Twitch. Thank you to the Facebook community as well. Y'all are amazing. And YouTube, of course, the OGs. Love you as well. Thank you all. And have a great night. Remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. See y'all tomorrow.
Big, massive dumps.
Like pounds.
There's some whores in town.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll read.
Who's got a hammer?
How you like that, boy?
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.